Well, today's day in history is part of the We the People series happening all year long, remembers an electrifying moment in U.S. history.
October 9th, 1936, harnessing the power of the mighty Colorado River, Hoover Dam begins to send electricity over transmission lines spanning 266 miles of mountains and deserts to run the lights, radios, and stoves of Los Angeles.
Work on the dam began under President Herbert Hoover, but was not completed until the Roosevelt administration took over. The electricity generated by the Hoover Dam was only a secondary benefit. The central reason for it revolved around the most precious of all Western commodities, water.